Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you are new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds. If you'd like to join the family, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, click on the bell icon down below so you'll get alerted when I go live or post new videos. If you'd like to participate on the discussion, you can join me most weekdays where I go live on YouTube. Or if you'd like to reach out to me outside of YouTube, you can consider joining the Discord I created or the Facebook group that we have. There's links for that down on the description below. Also down in the description below is a link for a Pinterest board. That is a great place for you guys to check out the different meals and recipes that I've been enjoying as I've been working towards my weight loss goal. Today is day 1019 of my challenge to lose 300 pounds. So far, through a combination of extended water fasting and a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet, I've been able to lose 270 pounds so far. If anybody has any non-scale victories they'd like to share, I'd love to hear your non-scale victories. If you have any on-scale victories, I love hearing those as well. If you're succeeding with your diet, let us know what you're doing to succeed. And if you're struggling, let us know what's causing some of your struggles. Maybe there's something we can help you with. And at the end of the day, what are some things that you can do or that you will do or are doing that will make staying on your diet easier than the alternative? Let's go ahead, switch over to the main screen here. I started a little bit early today because I don't have a ton of time. So it's going to be kind of a quick update video here today, but a few people checking in. Anthony saying hello. Randy from Seattle. Hi, Randy. And Tennis and Yoga Girl. Hello, everyone. Yes, I hope everybody had a wonderful evening and had a great day today. It has been busy. Just that is the key word for this month, is busy, and that is kind of how July and August always end up for me, just because of the industry that I'm in. So this is the busy time of year, so there's lots to get done. I am gonna go ahead and, I gotta check out and make sure I'm on the wrong Wi-Fi. Let me switch over to the right Wi-Fi, and then this should work better. Sorry, guys. I was just going to show a couple photos of food since yesterday. Don't have a ton of food photos, but I do have a few here. So let's pull this up. Last night for dinner, we had some Spanish rice. Carrie put mushrooms in the Spanish rice. She cuts them up real fine with this thing we have that helps cut our vegetables, and it was delicious. We add a little bit of a chipotle seasoning to it. It has a real nice spice and just overall great flavors. Then this morning had our standard oatmeal here. We have spinach again, something that we did not have for the last few days. So we got our spinach and our oatmeal there. And then I got a photo of my post-breakfast broccoli, followed by my lunch of a huge bowl of potatoes and broccoli with some table tasty. I did not do the best job taking photos today, but or as far as like quality of photos, these aren't photos that are going to make it into any magazines anytime soon. But that is the food since yesterday. It's been awesome to be back on diet. I'm feeling really good. I still have the fluid retention in my legs though. So I'm hoping that over the next few days or the next week of being compliant, that fluid retention will go away, and I'll be back to my normal self. Let's see here. Pretty Girl's mom, I don't know if I said hello to you, but hello, happy Wednesday. And then the Shrinking Shadow says, hello, everyone. Hello, Shrinking Shadow. Thanks for being here. Thanks for everybody checking out the stream today. I kind of mentioned it. I started a little bit earlier than I normally do because I don't have a ton of time today. I have to go home and be a dad, take care of my kids. Carrie's going out on some big party or something. Not really, but she does have some plans. So I have to be home to help watch the little ones. It's been an interesting couple of days because we don't have our whole family at home. Yesterday, I guess it's just been a day now, but our older kids are visiting my in-laws that live out of the area, so they're not going to be here for a few days. So it has been half as loud as it normally is at home. So I'll get to go home and have some quality time with my youngest ones. We don't get a chance to I don't get a chance to hang out with just them very often, so it'll be good tonight. Rachel here says, "Hey everyone, I sympathize. Currently dealing with recurring cellulitis in my leg. I know dropping the weight will help so much." Yes, I know, and it's frustrating. I've talked about it a little bit, but this fluid retention in my legs or the swelling that I get, it was not something that I really noticed until I got towards my heaviest, when I was up over 400, and really not until I was pushing 500 pounds that I really noticed how much swelling and fluid that I had building up in my leg. And it was a big driver for me to even start this channel and start losing weight, was that fluid in my legs and just knowing that it's symptoms of things that are much worse. Karen's checking in saying, "Hi family." Hi Karen, I hope you're doing great today. Hopefully Carrie doesn't block you today. I'll try to keep her away from the ban button or the timeout button. But I really thought that this was a 500-pound person problem, or at least for me, a 500-pound problem, that I have such bad swelling, such bad fluid because I weigh 500 pounds. And now I've lost 270 pounds and I eat a meal with salt in it, and my leg just balloons up right away. And it makes me realize that it's not a problem that I only have to deal with at 400 pounds, but something I have to still deal with at 250 pounds. And I may have to deal with the rest of my life. I talked a little bit about that yesterday too, is that, I was a bit naive coming in thinking that, I'll just lose all the weight and all of the health problems will go away. And some of them have gone away. I don't have issues with sleep apnea anymore. And I've had some other, minor things or things that were nagging problems that have gone away. But the fluid retention, whatever causes that to happen, hasn't gone away. And maybe it was always there. Maybe when I was 250 pounds 25 years ago, I had fluid retention I didn't notice. I don't think so, but I'm not sure. Rachel says, "I'm just under 400 currently, and it didn't start being a problem until about 370. Really hope yours improves. Is one worse than the other? My left swells more than my right." And mine's the opposite. My right leg swells more than my left leg. But yes, one is worse than the other. And really my left leg, it might have some swelling right now, but it's not as noticeable as the right leg swelling is. Yeah, and I hope it improves as well. And the only way that I can make sure that hope becomes a reality is to actually continue to eat healthfully and to make sure that I'm paying attention and I'm being intentional about my food choices and what I eat. Because when I am 100% compliant. It feels amazing. All the swelling goes away. A bunch of the pain goes away. You know, like my ankles, uh, there's just a little bit of soreness in them right now that I wasn't dealing with, a month ago when I was, 100% compliant with the diet. So, just compliance and consistency, or being consistently compliant, is going to pay off like it has for the past 1,000 days. It's been, I've said it 100 times, that it's, if I want to lose weight, I eat a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet, and I lose weight. If I don't want to lose weight, I deviate from that in some way, and then I don't lose weight. And I still got some weight to lose. I still got to get down to that 220. I'm hoping that, I can't, getting to 220 is the goal, and that's the escaping obesity. If I look at a BMI chart for my height and my age, that goal of 220, that's me escaping obesity. That is me for the first time in my life not being obese. And I'm so close to that point. I really want to, I have a hard time not pushing too hard as well, because I look at that 30 pounds and I think of all of the different ways over the past 22 years that I've lost 30 pounds, or how, and I know though from that experience from the past is that push isn't necessarily worth it, because of the rebound that happens when you go back to how you're going to eat forever. And that's the underlying principle to this whole diet, this whole 3-year challenge, was that I needed to get away from the mentality that the diet that I was eating to lose weight was going to be different than the diet that I eat once I get to my goal weight. And I still wrestle with this. I still wrestle with it, because it was just drilled into me for years and years. You just got to do this to lose the weight, do this to lose the weight. But it never addressed what to do once you lost the weight, because so many of those diets were unsustainable, and they may have had great weight loss potential or benefits, but the longevity, for me, I never stuck to a diet for more than couple weeks, a few months at the most. And then the diets that I had the most success on for the longest amount of time were while I was taking a prescription for appetite suppressants. So it wasn't really a fair measure of my ability to stick to a diet, because I was using a drug to suppress the appetite, and it was creating a bad environment, I guess would be the best way. And so when I started this challenge, it was to be slow. It was to lose the weight slow. It was 3 years. It was so that I didn't have to, I didn't have this sprint mentality that I always had every other time I lost weight, but it was to find out how to eat like the 220-pound version of myself has to eat, because I was eating like the 600-pound version of myself, and eating like that was continuing to cause my weight to go up and up and up. And eventually I would have easily hit 600 pounds, if not more. Like if on November 1st, 2020, I don't start this challenge and I just continue my life as it was going, I'm 40, 60, 80 pounds heavier in 3 years because I was gaining weight that quick over the past few years. And it was, I think the only thing that would have stopped me from getting to 600 pounds would have been having a heart attack and passing away. And so I knew I needed to get away from eating that way, eating like the 600-pound version of myself eats. And then I looked at all the diets that I've ever eaten, all of the keto and the Atkins and the a lot of low carb, but moderation diets, the Weight Watchers, the appetite suppression diets, the pills I took back in college that were a weight loss program, all of that stuff. And I looked at the diet that I was eating during those times, and I realized that I was eating the diet of like 100-pound or 120-pound version of myself would eat. And that's not sustainable in the long run to eat like a 90-pound person, or I was eating like an anorexic person almost, or I was pushing anorexia with the low calorie diets that I was eating. And so I look back at my history over the years since I've been 16 years old, and it's been me going from a diet of a 600-pound person to the diet of a 100-pound person. And I don't want to be a 600-pound person, and I don't want to be a 100-pound person. I want to be a 200-pound person or a 220-pound person when I started this challenge. And so to do that, I have to find the diet that allows me to be satisfied with volume and also lose weight. And that's what eating a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet provides for me. It allows me that ability to eat like a 220-pound version of myself, because when I allow processed foods into my diet, there's only the only way, I don't have any control. So it's either allow it and eat it in mass, just eating, eating volumes and volumes of this processed food, or it's abstaining from the processed foods. And that's what I would do. I would essentially be eating a highly processed food that's the 600-pound diet. I would say, okay, I'm going to get rid of all the processed foods and eat what's left. And that's the 100-pound diet. The problem is that I didn't have any unprocessed foods in my diet. And so these foods that I was eating were not healthy foods, or it was still processed foods, but as a whole, I was eating less food overall. And so eating a whole food, plant-based diet, it added that fruits and vegetables, it added the low calorie, dense foods that I had been missing for the past 42 years of my life. And it put those into my diet, and it helped satisfy my volume cravings so that I don't have the same issues with cravings while eating this diet as I have with past diets. Because with past diets, I would eat my daily allowance of calories or allowance of food, and then I would still crave things. But I would have to tell myself, no, you can't have that, and you can't have anything because you've already reached your limit for the day. But with this diet, it's not like that. It's okay, I'm craving having pretzels or hummus. And it's like, okay, well, I can't have that because it's not on my buffet table, but I can have carrots and celery and salad or rice and beans and potatoes. Like, you're not saying no to the craving and eating at all. You're saying no to the craving, but yes, you can eat. You can just have to change what you eat. And that's been a big difference with this diet versus other diets, is that other diets are, no, you can't have that. And guess what? You can't have anything else because you're trying to lose weight. In order to lose weight, you got to eat less. But this diet allows you to lean into that volume that your body craves. A few comments here. Rachel says it's scary how quickly and easily it piles on. Yes. And it's I don't know. I'm just thinking of this analogy in my head right now, but it's somewhat, I'm trying to think of like with flood water, like that once the water breaks through, or once you break through that threshold of having that issue. With me, it's is it lymphedema is what it's called? Like you said, with yours, it's cellulitis. Once you break through to that point, that pathway is open within your body, maybe. And so it's easy for your body to go back to the swelling like it was, or that's what I'm finding, I guess. Let's see here. Carrie's checking in here. Hey, Carrie, hope everything's going great at home. Matthew checking in as well and then Monique says, yes, restriction is not sustainable at all. Yeah, it's volume restriction is what I'm talking about. Obviously, there's foods that you should be restricting, and there's foods that, it's almost universal across all diets at this point that people say there's no reason to eat seed oils, except for maybe a little bit of the Mediterranean diet, I guess. But that's olive oil. Yeah, that's seed. Is that seed? I don't know. But yes, volume restriction is not sustainable. I say it every time I bring it up. It's just like undersleeping, because I think people can relate to that, or they can understand what undersleeping feels like. They can understand that, you have a busy week where you get half as much sleep as you normally do, or you're sick and you're not sleeping as well. Over time, it catches up, and it catches up pretty quickly. With volume restriction or food restriction, I think that it takes some time for it to kick in. And I also think that the people that are generally doing these volume restriction diets, like me and probably many people that watch this have in the past, is you had extra weight on your body to handle it. So essentially it's that sleeping analogy, but imagine that you were in a coma for a year prior to waking up and then not getting any sleep. So you have a huge reserve of excess calories on your body, excess fat. And so when you start starving yourself, essentially, you start eating a low volume diet, you can get by with it for a while because you have all the extra fat reserves. But it still not enough. Your body doesn't want to be getting all of its energy from the fat reserves. And, I'm sure there's some survival mechanisms to it as well. With it, but yeah, you have to satisfy your body's volume cravings, and when you do that, then you get rid of the junk food cravings because you're satisfied. You're having cravings for junk food because you're not satisfied, and so just eat more. See Dave S checking in saying hello Dave, and Lisa also checking in here. I am, where am I at here? So I mentioned I started my stream a little bit early here today, and I'm going to have to end it before too long. So I can't be on here a super long time. So if anybody has any questions, ask them now. Hit that like button if you haven't hit the like button as well. Maybe we can get a few more people in here before I pop off. Who knows? Monique says, talking about sleep, I tried the steeped romaine. Okay, hold on. Let me try this again. Monique says, talking about sleep. I tried the steeped romaine lettuce drink last night. Don't know if it helped with the sleep quality. However, I did get 9 hours of sleep. Okay, I have not heard of a steeped romaine lettuce drink. I've heard of, is that just like putting it in hot water? The word steeped, I've seen that before. Yeah, soak in water or other liquid as to extract its flavor and or to soften it. Okay. I have not heard of doing that, but you got 9 hours of sleep, and that's awesome to get 9 hours of sleep. That was a positive result of our big kids being gone, is that they weren't up late. So we were able to get things done and actually go to bed maybe 20 minutes earlier than normal, maybe a little bit more than that. But usually it's much later before we go to bed. And last night we were able to go to bed a little bit earlier because we don't have the big kids keeping us up all night. Let's see here. Matt says that he had a non-scale victory today. You achieved 33 years sobriety on July 23rd. That's awesome. If I hadn't given up booze and garbage food, you'd be dead, and you don't want to die. There's no future in it. That is great. Congratulations on the 33 years of sobriety. I don't drink much anymore, and that is mainly a product of how I acted when I did drink when I was in my 20s. So I just don't have it around. So that's awesome. It's really nothing positive about the booze or the alcohol. And yes, the end there, if you hadn't given up the booze and the garbage food, you'd be dead and you don't want to die. Again, that was a big, there's no future in it. Yes. There's a big part of that was a big part of my why. You know, I wanted to be alive to see my kids grow up and get married and have their own kids and watch Carrie grow old and be an old man. And I kind of already mentioned it earlier in this stream that I don't start this on November 1st, 2020. And there's a chance that I've already suffered some severe health consequences or had issues. So I'm so happy that I got rid of the junk food and I've changed my life. I've changed so much, and I'm excited that I'm getting so close to that end goal. Monique says that it's on TikTok. Well, if it's on TikTok, it must be worth trying. No. And sleep for great healing is what it is. Okay. Yeah. Yes, sleep does help for healing. I believe that the more rested, the more rest you get, the more chance you give your body to recover and repair. So I think that sleep is incredibly important for healing, and just resting and relaxing when you can as well. So let me see here. I'm counting the time here. I'm checking the time here. I got a little bit more time. So yes, Lisa says in the old days people thought they were heroes for not sleeping. It reminds me, so I have some friends that are visiting the Henry Ford Museum in Michigan, and it got me really excited because I've been there. It was 20 plus years ago that I went there, but there's really lots of cool American history stuff. And one of the things they have there is like Thomas Edison's workshop or like something to do with Thomas Edison. And that was a big thing. Thomas Edison was famous for not sleeping. And famous for pushing his guys to function while not sleeping. And yeah, it's tough, like why were they heroes? Like it was a productivity thing, like you were more productive if you weren't sleeping. But also, like, how many people work themselves to death? How many people died early because of that that kind of mentality, like, and also, like, when you get really tired, you make mistakes really easy, and so it's tough to know how many people made deathly mistakes because of not having enough sleep, being too tired. So, and I used to suffer really bad when I was in the beginning of realizing that I had sleep apnea. And just like when you're overweight, you make excuses for everything. While I was having issues with that sleep apnea, I was always making excuses for why I was tired. It was I'm working too many hours, I'm partying too much, I'm burning the candle at both ends. It's all this other stuff. It's not it's not the quality of sleep I'm getting. It's the quantity of sleep that I was getting. And that was a lie, because I was getting lots of sleep, but I still wasn't ever getting rested. I was never feeling restful. And it got to the point where, it wasn't until I almost got into an accident on my motorcycle that I decided to even see the doctor. I had been dealing with what I assume felt like insomnia, that I would just be playing a game or I'd be at work on the computer and I would just start to fall asleep and I couldn't help it. There were days where, fortunately I run a family-owned business, or I work for a family-owned business, and I would be so tired that I would just go to the back and just take a nap in the middle of the day. And again, I just thought I was working too hard. I was doing too much. And it wasn't until I was riding my motorcycle. I remember it so kind of vividly, like I could take you to the neighborhood that I was in, that I was driving, and I just kind of did what I had done thousands and thousands of time in the past, where I just kind of drifted off, just kind of my eyes just closed, and then I woke up, and that in that half a second of falling asleep, my motorcycle kind of tipped, and I was able to catch it, and I ended up stopping. Fortunately, I was only going like 10 miles an hour. I was in a residential neighborhood. And that was kind of the moment that I had to have to be like, I need to figure something out. And so I went to the doctor. They set me up for a sleep study. They said, hey, the way it works is you come in one night, we'll test you, we'll find out whether or not we think you have sleep apnea or not. And then the second night, or the second time you come in, we'll put the equipment on you and we'll measure how much pressure, how much assistance you need through the evening. So I went in for that first sleep study. I was asleep for like less than 2 hours. And the tech woke me up and said, hey, there's no doubt that you have sleep apnea, and you have pretty bad sleep apnea. So I'm just going to go ahead. I already talked to the doctor. He said he already talked to the doctor. He got approval to switch me over to the measurement equipment so that we could quickly get me the equipment I needed to help me with my sleeping. I got the results from my sleep apnea at the time. This is like 2007. Sleep apnea was kind of a known thing, but it was becoming more known at the time, or becoming more of a popular diagnosis for people. But yeah, I looked at my oxygen numbers. They were really low, like deathly low. I was not breathing for more than 30 seconds for every 60 seconds I was asleep. They ended up setting my machine at like 18 psi or whatever. The machine went up to 20. And I think the only reason they went to 18 was so that they had room to bump it up if they needed to. And so, but that 2 weeks or whatever it was between being diagnosed and actually having the equipment in my hands was extremely nerve-wracking, because I spent a ton of time on the internet. Again, the internet 15 years ago had lots of information in it, but there was also lots of like scary information out there as well when you did these types of searches. So freaked out for like 2 weeks. And then finally got my equipment, hooked it up, slept. It was the best night of sleep I can remember having at the time. Like, I can remember that first week after getting that CPAP machine was amazing. Like, it was like a euphoria, just like this wave came over me. And then as a result, I lost weight because I was sleeping better. I gained it all back, or I gained it at some point. But that was kind of, that sparked a lot of change in my life. I lost a little bit of weight. I met my wife shortly after that period. And it was such a relief to finally be getting enough sleep. And I think about food now when I think about that as well, and about all those diets where it was like I was suffering from sleep apnea, where I was under eating. And now with this whole food plant-based diet, it's like I have the equipment I need. I have the machine that I needed, that I don't need anymore, which is a big thing. I haven't worn a CPAP machine. I bet it's almost been 2 years since I've worn the CPAP machine, if not longer than 2 years since I've had that machine, which is just crazy. But yeah, now with this diet, I'm eating the amount of food that my body wants to eat. And that's so important. So yes, Monique says, so glad you're over the sleep apnea. Yeah, it was really something that, if you think you suffer from it, it's worth getting the tools to help get you the sleep you need. If you are just so against going to the doctor and getting the equipment, then lose the weight, because that's what I ended up having to do. So I didn't have the equipment anymore, was lose the weight. So, but guys, I do have to get out of here now. It's a little bit shorter stream than my recent streams. But I want to thank you guys so much for all of the support. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, get subscribed to the channel. I'm within like 5 people away from 2,000 subscribers. So I'd really love to hit that 2,000 subscriber mark soon. If you haven't started your diet yet, get started right now. There's nothing coming up that's more important than your health and your overall well-being. Nobody reaches their goals, looks back, and wishes they would have waited. Everybody wishes they would have gotten started sooner. Thank you guys, and you all have a wonderful evening. I will see you tomorrow.